My name is Mark Abney. I'm the peanut entomologist at the University of Georgia, and my co-author on this poster is Benjamin Agner, a PhD student in my lab. Our presentation is entitled Spatial Abundance and Temporal Flight Activity of Peanut Burrower Bug in Georgia. Now, hopefully you're going to be able to read the poster in the online format, so I'm going to try to hit some of the highlights for you in this online presentation. I think it's important to know that peanut burrower bug is native to the southeastern United States and Georgia, but it only recently has been recognized as a major economic pest, so going back to 2010. But since that time, there have been some severe losses in Georgia on an annual basis because of burrower bug. There's a lot about this insect we don't know, and not only is there a lot about it we don't know, but there are very few management options for growers to deal with this insect. And I don't think it's at all a stretch to say that if we understood the insect's biology and behavior better, it would help us as we work to develop integrated pest management strategies for this pest. So following that, our objectives for the work we're discussing today were to quantify the spatial and temporal abundance and the distribution of peanut burrower bug. We wanted to look at the sex ratio of the insect, and then we wanted to look at when the insect was active in terms of flight in a 24-hour period. So looking at the abundance and distribution aspect of the work, we distributed light traps to 13 different counties in Georgia, where the county agents helped us out with the collecting and monitoring the traps, and they sent the bugs back to us in Tifton. We counted all the bugs, sorted them, determined the sex for each sample period, and then worked with the data. If we look at our results, if you look at figure 6, if we're looking at the distribution of insects geographically, what we see is wherever we put a light trap, we caught peanut burrower bug. So we had 13 different counties, and we caught bugs in every light trap. You will see differences in abundance, both from county to county and also from year to year, but we did not see any geographic pattern. So it wasn't that the southeastern part of the state had more bugs or less bugs. There was local variation from field to field, but no pattern really when you looked at it across the entire state. Everywhere we put a trap, we caught a bug. If you look at it from the temporal aspect, you will see that we caught bugs in May, June, July, August, and September. The traps typically went out the 1st of June, and that's because we were putting the traps in peanut fields after they were planted, so there weren't many traps in the field in May, and they typically came out in early September in preparation for harvest, so we didn't have a lot of trap data for September either. If you look, though, you'll see that we have bugs in every month, every year. If we were to graph these data in a line graph, you would see a peak in every month, and those peaks occurred at about 30-day intervals, which is consistent with what we see in the laboratory with a 30-day generation time for this insect from egg to adult. All right. We're also interested in the sex ratio of the insects that we collected in these traps, and what we found is that about 60% of the insects that were collected in the traps were females. And this held true from all the locations across not just 2015 and 16, which are shown here, but also 17 through 2019. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the overall population is biased towards females, but it is an indication that there is at least a slight female sex bias. Okay, we were also interested in when the insects were active within a 24-hour period. So back in 2016, we put 2 light traps in a field. One was set to run from dusk till midnight, and the other from midnight until dawn. And what we found there, looking at figure 11 on the left, you will see that we caught 95% of the insects from dusk until midnight, and only a few stragglers from midnight to dawn. So the following year, we put 3 traps in a field in Tifton County right beside my house. The first was set to come on at 8:30 and go off at 9:30. The second one would come on at 9:30 and go off at 10:30. The third one would come on at 10:30 and run till 11:30. And what we find is that almost all of the insects are collected in that early dusk, right after sunset time period from 8:30 until 9:30. Okay. So to summarize what we've got here, we're looking at the spatial temporal abundance, sex ratio, and flight activity of peanut burrower bug. Everywhere we put light traps, we catch burrower bugs, which indicates the insect is widely distributed across the state. Abundance does vary locally, but there were no geographic patterns. We captured bugs every month during the warm months of the year, and the capture pattern suggests a 30-day generation time, which is what we see in the laboratory. Our population is slightly biased towards females, and the insects tend to fly or be active at dusk from about 8:30 in the evening until 9 o'clock. I'd like to acknowledge the Georgia Peanut Commission and the National Peanut Board and USDA NIFA for support of this project. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Mark Abney, and I'm the peanut entomologist at the University of Georgia.